Hello, so today we are going to continue on this problem flatten array from exercism.io. We already solved a couple. Already solved the first 2 or 3, I think, on the channel. And so today's problem is basically we get a nested list and we want to return it as a single flattened list with all the values except the null values. So we can get in the input null values. We want to remove those and flatten the other ones. So for example here, it can be arbitrarily nested. It doesn't have to be just one level. It can be multiple levels. So for example here with this, we want to flatten them and then remove the null values. So these here. And so we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the idea. Now, the first simple solution we can do is to just go through the list, right? Increase font. So we can just go through, create a mutable list with the result, right? And just go through every element in the list input that we get. So for example, in this list, we'll go first through 1, and then after that, we'll go through this list, and then after that, this list with just a nil value, right? And then for each element, we want to check if it's another collection, then we want to flatten that collection and then add it to our result. But if it's a single element, like here, for example, in the case of 1 or in the case of 5, then in that case, we want to just first make sure it's not null, because we don't want to add null values. If it's not null, then we want to just add it as it is, right? And then here, when it's a list or a collection, we want to flatten that, and so we will recurse. And then if it's again another level of nested, then we will call it again. But if it's just an element, then we'll add it. So that's the idea. So this one should work fine. It does pass test cases, but it's not like functional, because we have this mutable list and then we add to it as we go. So that's not the ideal solution. So how can we improve it? So we can improve it by first, instead of, let me just put them side by side, split right and take the first one. So what we can do instead is here, instead of checking element is equal to null or not, we can just filter the null values, right? So this will filter to only include the non-null values. Okay, and then instead of doing this for loop, we can just do a flat map, because flat map will give us a list, right? Flat map will be able to combine a list into multiple lists into a single list, flatten them, right? And then we handle these 2 cases. Okay, so one case is the element is a collection, the other case it's an element. If it's just an element, let's just convert it to a list of one single element so that it gets concatenated with the rest as a single list. But if it's a collection, then we want to recurse like we did here on that list. And then once we get the result back, we'll add it to our flat map. We will just have it included in the list that includes the other elements, right? So this one is a lot better because it's more functional, right? It uses a functional pattern here. There is no mutable list. And so it should be better. However, maybe we don't need this one, so we can also choose to simplify it, right? And just do the same filter and flat map. But instead of doing the one, you could also just, since it's just 2 conditions, I think in that case, 1 is a little bit of an overkill here. So we can just do the if check. If it's a collection, we want to recurse and flatten it. Otherwise, we just want a list of that element itself, right? And this should work fine as well. Yeah, so that's sort of how we can make it better. Now, so yeah, that's pretty much it. This is a pretty simple problem, simpler actually than the previous one. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We can use fold if you want to try it as well with an accumulator. But yeah, I think this one is a lot simpler, and it's the one that I recommend going with. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for today. Please like and subscribe, and see you on the next one. Bye.